Ring Circus, the very first Three Ring Circus in the Russell Wilson era. And there's no one better to join us than Benjamin Allbright, who's been calling the Russell Wilson era since October. Ben, how did you know this was going to happen?
Just lucky guesswork. I've never been around anybody in the organization. I don't know. No, I mean, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and I'm sure we can get out of this show. I just want to point out right now that this is a Ryan-free zone. Right now.
Oh, wow. Yes.
The Russell Wilson era just appears to maybe. Why do Ryans hate Russell Wilson? Maybe we should discuss that.
A couple of them are in Vegas, so.
We said if we had Ben on, we can't have either Ryan on.
Yeah.
That's how it works. I told when Edwards was on, I said I was legally changing my name to Andrew Zachary just to see if we could balance things out.
Well, and I heard that, and so I said, okay, now you're definitely on.
Yeah.
Now you're on. And, of course, this is the DNVR Broncos podcast. I'm your host, Zac Stevens, joined by my man, Zachary Andrew, of course, Benjamin Allbright. And, of course, we got my man, Andrew Mason, as well. And before we hop into the show, got to tell you about our presenting sponsor, MSU Denver Online. Over at MSU Denver Online, you get an affordable education without having to quit your job. You can work and get an education or take a class over at MSU Denver. So make sure to check them out where you can learn everything you need. Check them out at MSU Denver. Fellas, this is going to be an awesome show. Ben, thanks so much for joining us. And Ben, got to get your initial reaction. Like I said, you've been talking about this since October, but when it actually happened on Tuesday, what was your initial thought?
Well, this is a family show, so these tearaway pants that I wore are obviously no good. I was stoked. I've been a Russ Wilson fan my whole life. The first time I ever saw Russ Wilson, I watched him practice as a true freshman at NC State. And I said, man, this kid is going to go somewhere. I mean, he's short, but this dude is going to go somewhere. He's going to break the height barrier in the NFL. I also said that about Austin Davis, so wrong on one, right on one.
Hey, 50% on quarterbacks is better than most teams.
I'll take it. Yeah, I've been a Russ Wilson fan forever, so the fact that he's here now, I'm really excited about it. Not just the fact that the Broncos have a great quarterback, the fact you get to kind of cover Russ, who's kind of an interesting dude. I think his penchant for Hawaiian shirts will appeal to our good friend Andrew over here. No, he's just a good guy, and he's a great football player, and Broncos country needs this. I mean, after suffering through the desert of Mark Sanchez versus Trevor Siemian competitions, Case Keenum, the ghost of Joe Flacco. Somehow Jeff Driscoll got a start out of that. It's Texans tight end Jeff Driscoll. Somehow that happened.
Is he still there as the tight end?
He's still there. The Broncos country just deserves it at this point. I mean, you've suffered enough.
Yep.
It's time to get back to being. The NFL's better when the Broncos are good.
Yep.
So yeah, I think Russ deserves it as well, because I think he deserves, after this time, he deserves to find out. I think the world deserves to find out just what he can be in an offense that is built around the quarterback, not around trying to run first.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think he wants to kind of test himself and see where he can go, what the ceiling can be. Frankly, he's had 9 Pro Bowl selections, and we know the Pro Bowl is a popularity contest, but still, he's put together a Hall of Fame resume without being in an offense that has played to his strengths, except for brief bursts here and there early in 2020, for example. A couple of those years with Darrell Bevell. I think it's going to be great for him to be here as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's part of the reason that the divorce occurred, in Seattle. This has been a long time coming. For people who don't know, like behind the scenes, there was trepidation that the Seahawks and Russell Wilson were even going to sign that last contract together.
Right.
It kind of wasn't expected that was going to happen. And Russell Wilson has felt for a long time that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, that he has the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And, you want your quarterback to feel that. I know that sounds arrogant, but you want your quarterback to
absolutely.
think that. And he's felt, and he's been held back by a run-first offense. I mean, let's be honest, Pete Carroll has imported the Marty Schottenheimer, literally Brian Schottenheimer at one point, to run that offense. But R2P2, 2 runs, a pass, and a punt, and then beg for Russ to pull something out, in the fourth quarter. And that's been the Seahawks recipe for so long. They talked about the Legion of Boom and the great defense, and that carried them. Well, that's true to a degree, but Russ was also very good those years, and that got overshadowed by how good that defense was.
It was a top 10 offense in 2013.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was talking with somebody on Twitter, like, it was all about, the Broncos. They won with great defense, not with great offense. And Seattle with the great defense. Top 10 offense in 2013. They were legit. And I don't, with all respect to the Legion of Boom, I don't know if they win a Super Bowl without Russ on the other side.
Yeah, and Marshawn gets a lot of that credit too.
Yeah.
But Russ, they would stack the box against Marshawn even more if Russ wasn't able to deliver on the passes.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's a great point. And one of the things that you said about Seattle was they never really treated him like a franchise quarterback, like a superstar quarterback, like a Hall of Fame quarterback.
He was never intended to be one.
Right.
When they that season they had paid Matt Flynn to come out and be the guy. Like Pete Carroll has always, and you go back and look at USC, Pete Carroll's always wanted like the point guard quarterback. The Teddy Bridgewater is perfect for what Pete Carroll wants.
That's so crazy.
The guy distribute the football, don't turn it over, just be that guy. And Russ came in and took the job from Matt Flynn, who they paid, and he came in as a rookie and just took the job and never relinquished it. So he was never intended to be the guy. They took a flyer on him and he just took the job.
He's got a 2-guard quarterback now. With Drew Lock, in every way.
That's very true. Yeah. And I have to imagine
that
the Broncos are going to do the complete opposite. Nathaniel Hackett's going to say, you want to pass first offense? Easily. I was just with Aaron Rodgers. I know how to handle superstar quarterbacks. You're going to be able to do whatever you want. And on top of that, they're going to get along so well. Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson's energy is just going to bond. And the one other thing to kind of show a commitment to a quarterback is by giving him the big contract. We know Russ is still on what was a record-breaking contract, but now the quarterback market has changed so much. With 2 years left on his deal, Ben, when do you expect a new deal for Russ?
They'll work on it. I expect that to be tacked on to what he has now, or maybe erase next year's money.
Okay.
But I think they want him this year on the deal that he's on because it's super cheap. I mean, $24 million for a quarterback of Russ's caliber, that's half of what he's worth in terms of what the quarterback market is right now.
And it's half of Matt Ryan's cap hit this year. Can you believe that?
So what you can do is you can bring in other guys, front load those deals, and then as those deals get cheaper moving on, then you can upgrade Russ, and then the cap balances out. So.
Because Russ is going to go into the $40 to $50 million range.
Yeah, it's going to be somewhere between 45 and 55 million a year. 45 would be if he takes a discount, which I'm not sure he will, but it's going to be in that range per year.
And that's going to be the best money the Broncos have spent in so long. I'm thrilled that we're not talking value quarterbacks. And we've got a huge show today. So let's jump into our first segment. And, of course, we're going to have plenty of Russ talk throughout this. And what we're doing now, free agency. Right around the corner, perfect person to have on the show with Ben being the Broncos insider of all Broncos insiders. Free agency officially opens on Monday. So let's jump in to building the Broncos' dream situation in free agency. And so we're going to do kind of a building the Broncos here. And this is going to be unrealistic in terms of money, but it's going to be a little fun here. We're all going to build the Broncos with the $26 million in cap space that they have. And Kale, let's get this pulled up here. So we got 4 guys at $7 million. And of course, those guys are going to be way over, but for game's sake. Then you have a layer of $6 million, $5 million, $4 million, $3 million, and then to make it fit in $26 million, $1 million. So essentially, you get one guy from each category for this Broncos team right now. Or if you want a couple $7 million guys, you can just go all out and not have any of the other guys. So let's do this. And Ben, we'll let you build your team first, or at least have the first say in who you're taking off the board. So the first category, $7 million. We got J.C. Jackson, Von Miller, Tyrann Mathieu, and Teron Armstead.
Man, that's good. I'm going to take J.C. Jackson off of there.
Oh, man.
3-man rotation of Ronald Darby, Pat Surtain, and J.C. Jackson. I think they're going to play. The Broncos are going to play a ton of dime this year, by the way. Not just nickel, dime. The Rams were the number 1 team playing dime in the NFL last year. That's going to be imported this year. Need corners in order to be able to make that happen. J.C. Jackson would cost a ton of money, so that's totally unrealistic. But if I'm playing Madden, that would be my first one right there.
Yep, I absolutely love that. And just how dirty that would be. Pat Surtain and J.C. Jackson. I love it. Actually, Mace, do you just want to take a $7 million guy too? And you can take the same guy if you want.
I mean, so we got 4 guys, right?
Yep.
4 guys. Let's see, 13, 18.
Is that enough? He's doing the math right now.
You can get 7 guys for $26 million on this.
Yeah,
list.
I was like, there's. I was told there would be no math, but
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, do whatever you need to get that $26 million.
I mean, heck. I can have some fun. I can have some fun with this.
Mace is gonna kill us with the math here.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? If we're gonna go and just have some fun with
Dream
this,
big, Mace.
give me Honey Badger.
yeah, I like it. The versatility.
Yes,
love it.
especially if you're going with a lot of dime looks.
Love it.
Yeah.
A lot of things you can do with him. That's not the last defensive back move I'm going to make here.
Oh,
But
okay.
respect it.
Little preview. I like that. I like that a lot.
Swiss Army knife.
And I'm going secondary as well. I'm going J.C. Jackson. I'm just so intrigued by that, and that's a win now and win in the future type of move. Since since he's only 26 years old. Yeah. All right, and you want to go $6 million? I guess since I did the math wrong, you can go wherever you want here.
Well, I'm going to go with $6 million anyway because I'm going to take Chandler Jones, and I'm going to tell you that is a likely Broncos, it's an actual likely Broncos free agent signing. In fact, I believe he's priority one. Chandler Jones, of course, played at Syracuse when Nathaniel Hackett was the offensive coordinator there. He's good friends with Russell Wilson, and the Broncos need an edge rusher. That's a trifecta of get him over here right now.
They need an edge rusher, and he's my pick as well. And a big part of the reason why is compare him to Von Miller. First of all, on this exercise, he's $1 million cheaper than Von Miller. But the other thing is he is more productive in the last 4 or 5 years than Von Miller has been, and not often without quality opposite him. Yep. He can kind of make his own way a little bit more without needing that help. I think he's a year younger. He's in experience a year younger than Von Miller. I think he's just got a little bit more left in the tank. And like Ben said, he and Hackett go way back.
That's a really good point. Kale, can I see that list to see if there's anyone I need? I mean, you guys pretty much sold me on Chandler Jones here. Yeah, I'm going Chandler Jones as well. But a guy that's on here, Bobby Wagner. He is a hot name Seahawk that they just cut. I think you got some info for us, Ben.
Yeah, I don't think Bobby Wagner's coming to Denver.
Oh, you're breaking dreams
on
here. You're breaking hearts.
There are multiple reasons for that. I think he wants to go to San Francisco, pair up with Fred Warner, and get the revenge tour on Seattle. Plus, I don't think he and Russ had the best relationship. So,
man, Seahawks just love to go to the 49ers and get some revenge. That is interesting. Yeah, and boy, the Seahawks are in a tough division. With Russ, it was tough last year. Imagine without Russ. Without Bobby Wagner, they're going to be in a world.
I do
hurt.
know Dallas. I do know Dan Quinn is lobbying for Wagner there as well. So just another one. So
keep your eye on that. All right, who are you going in the $5 million category?
This is tough. So all things being equal, I would probably continue to go defense and pick up a Jadeveon Clowney here. I would play him actually along the defensive line than the edge rush and use him as a run container. But unfortunately, I know someone that is watching this show under a burner right now that happens to be my neighbor. So Melvin, I'm taking you. We're bringing him back. We're bringing the 1-2 Javante push right back. So.
Let's go. I love that. And we talked about it yesterday. Melvin is Mason I's number one Bronco free agent right now. And do you think it's realistic?
That Melvin comes back?
Yep.
I don't. I think Melvin wants to be back, and I know Hackett wants him back. I've talked to both of them. They all want it. The problem is the money. And Melvin's a running back, and you got to understand the shelf life for a running back in the NFL is so short. You got to cash in while you can, and I think they understand the economic realities of that. So I think that if Melvin somehow gets just a crap market out there, there's just a soft market for him, then we stand a chance. But as it sits right now, I don't believe that's happening.
And there are places that make sense for Melvin Gordon.
Right.
I mean, the one that kind of jumps out just in bright neon lights, he would make so much sense in Buffalo.
Yep.
That they're one piece away basically, and
Buffalo,
he's that piece.
He could cash in places like Miami and Houston if he wanted to take bigger, wanted to take the bigger deals. So
but Houston don't pay running backs.
Well, that's
even when they're not wanted here.
After they recycle the Broncos running backs too. Did they have Phil Amroyce last year?
Yeah.
Driscoll at tight end.
Yep. And man, that's exactly how I feel about Melvin. He can get more money and a bigger role somewhere else, but I'm going to go Melvin here, too, because, man, you pair those two up again with Russ, you're going to be able to do whatever you want on the offensive side of the ball. So give me Melvin as well. Mace, who you going with?
All right, can we see the list again, please, there, Cal? Thank you very much. All right, here.
So you got Ryan Jensen, Melvin Gordon, Jadeveon
Jensen was tempting, dude. So was Clowney.
Yeah.
I know.
Mace may be going Jensen here.
Oh, I messed up the money on the far right column. Sorry about that.
All right,
Oh,
so
it's
I
$5
got,
million, right?
Oh, he is 5. Okay, all right. I was looking at that. I was like, well, maybe.
it's funny. I'm looking at Cal. I'm like, okay, I got $13 million left here.
And like the column was like going. It was like the old mixtapes where you had to like write who the song had, then whip it down the side.
So everyone in the right, the fourth row is $4 million, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. That's all right. Okay. Let's see. I got 13.
Wow, Benny's gonna kill us with adding all this math. He's
know.
gonna have
I was
like
told there
3
would be
more
no math.
players than me. Yeah,
I was my prerequisite. I did not bring my TI calculator.
I'm actually gonna pass on the $5 million.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Do you want to make your pick in the $4 million, or are you going up to the $6 million again?
I'm gonna stick in the $4 million range, and I'm I'm going to bring home Chris Harris Jr.
They have. I will tell you guys on this show, they have reached out to Chris's people. I don't know if that's going to get done or not, but
there's at least some interest.
There's at least been a phone call.
I love that. I love hearing that.
And basically, he's going to play an awful lot because he's mostly going to be your slot.
Yeah. And this is saying that when you're running dime, you need 2 slot guys to be able to do that. So
I love that.
I just love the fact that we got Bo Callahan. Oh, it's Bryce Callahan. Nobody went to his birthday party yet.
All right, Ben, who are you taking in the $4 million category?
Well, I was going to go Bo Callahan just for the backup quarterbacks, but no, I'm taking Calais Campbell here. I'm continuing to go back to the defense on this side. That Trent Brown was tasty. It looked good and fill out that right tackle spot, but I'm going to go back here with Calais Campbell. Bring him home to Colorado. Now I got Campbell. I got Chandler Jones. You look at Bradley Chubb on the other side. All of a sudden, this defense and this front seven is looking incredibly formidable. So, yeah, give me Calais Campbell on that one.
Man, I'm just copying you again, Ben. Yeah, Calais Campbell, the feel-good story, but also he's still a darn good player, and this is a short-term answer, but it's okay to have short-term answers along with long-term answers. So give me Calais. Mace, you sticking in the $4 million again?
Let me see the sorry, I need to see the board and take a look again. All right, so I've spent 17 here.
I have no idea what I've spent.
Man, there are a lot of tempting choices here. I'm gonna stand pat. I'm going to the $3 million range.
Okay, and who are you picking in the $3 million range?
I'm loading up the secondary. I'm going with Gilmore.
Yep, that was my next call too.
And so you both going Gilmore. Here's the time that I'm first going to go a different route than Ben. Give me Rob Gronkowski. I don't think this one's going to happen for the Broncos at all, but I mean, come on. Just how much fun would he be? Talk about another high-energy guy.
How old is Gronk in this? Does he come with a wheelchair?
Yeah, he just plays in the playoffs pretty much.
Right.
And now this team, you kind of build it for the playoffs now.
I mean, fair enough.
Oh, Russ been to the playoffs, 8 of his 10 years? 9 of his 10 years? I think it's at least 8 of his 10 years.
8, the year he missed, they went 9-7.
That's right.
Yep. And last one. Well, Mace, you may have a couple guys left.
All right, let's see the board again. Yeah, so I've spent 20 here so far, and so let's see. I'm going to go. Ooh, okay.
Wow, you still have $6 million?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm gonna spend $3 million on Gronk.
Okay.
And then
I knew you weren't going to be able to.
Should I just go ahead and finish my list?
Yep.
I'm spending, and the last ones are $1 million.
Yep.
I'm spending $1 million each on Winston, Fowler, Massey.
Wow. All right. That's.
I'm gonna ride Bobby for one more year.
Yep.
Get the right tackle of the future, either at 64 or in round 3. You can wait on Bobby Massey. He's probably not going to sign with anybody else. Really wants to stay in Colorado, so you can kind of let free agency play out, even let the draft play out, and just bring back Bobby Massey around early May. Plug him in, good to go.
Yep.
I'm with you. Bobby Massey was going to be my last pick anyway. Need to shore up that right tackle position. I think it's realistic. You could see something like Dennis Kelly, Bobby Massey, and Calvin Anderson fighting it out in camp for that spot anyway. So give me Bobby Massey to round it out.
I love it. That's what I'm doing as well. And I like that insight on the right tackle position. We all think Bobby just makes so much sense because he wants to be a Bronco. He's going to be relatively cheap. And then, like you said, Mace, you can pair him up with a 3rd or 4th round pick.
And then, like Ben said with Kelly, of course, Kelly was in Green Bay this past year and then was in Tennessee before that under Matt LaFleur, which was the entree to him getting to Green Bay. So very well versed in the things you're going to try to do offensively. Getting toward the end of his career, but maybe between Kelly and Massey, I think you find a solution for a year.
Yep, I totally agree, and I love this. And I also love Strava Craft Coffee. Our friends over at Strava Craft Coffee have delicious CBD-infused coffee. Of course, CBD can help relieve aches, pains, migraines, anything that's going on. It can help relieve. It also can help get rid of the coffee jitters, some people say. And if you use the code DNVR25 over at StravaCraftCoffee.com, you'll get 25% off your first order, and then when you subscribe after that, you'll get 20% off every single order of Strava Craft Coffee, and you can even have it delivered straight to your door every 2, 4, 6, or 8 weeks. Check them out over at Strava Craft Coffee.
Also, check out the American Raptors. That's your Colorado rugby team, which is rebranded, but this rebrand is here to stay. The American Raptors are a rugby club composed of crossover athletes that ended their first season of play at 5-5, which is pretty good for athletes coming together for the first time in playing rugby and putting their skills to the test. If you haven't heard of the American Raptors, they are Rugby Town USA's newest rugby team. The American Raptors have competed at the highest level of their respective sports. They come from backgrounds in football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, soccer, and track, possessing the necessary athletic skills to translate to the game of rugby. If you want to catch the American Raptors, best thing is it's free. That's right, free. Head on over to AmericanRaptors.com and get your free ticket for the upcoming season. If you can't watch in person, no problem. AmericanRaptors.com streams all matches from their website. And if you want to just read about it and hear about it, listen to the DNVR Rugby podcast or read the content on DNVR Rugby from Colton Strickler. He's got it all covered. He's got the Rugby 101 podcast if you want to learn about the game. The Rugby podcast will keep you up to date with the latest news on the American Raptors and all things rugby. So check all of that out at DNVR Rugby and check out the American Raptors at AmericanRaptors.com.
Man, Michael Kerr in our YouTube chat brings up a great point. DNV Russell. I love that. And there's going to be no better place to watch Russell Wilson's games with the Broncos than here at the DNVR Bar. During the playoffs last year with Avs and Nuggets, this place was popping. I can't wait to see what it does with Broncos because we know in this town, Broncos are king. So make sure to stop by the DNVR Bar. Maybe we'll have, I'm sure we'll have a big draft party. And then, of course, this year with playoffs for Rockies and Avs. And then, of course, for playoffs with Broncos. Make sure to tune in to thednvr.com to become a member as well and stop by the bar. All right, Ben, let's do something and go through this Broncos record or schedule this year and predict their record. I know it's way too early record predictions, as Mace has pointed out. We don't even know who the free agents are going to be. The Broncos could get all these free agents we just talked about, blow it out of the water, or I was going to say, or they can miss out on guys, but that's just not going to happen when you have Russ in town.
We at least have more of a clue about the Chargers now than we did 48 hours ago.
They're still spending too.
Yes, they've got more left.
They're eyeballing for J.C. Jackson, and they're looking for a big nose tackle as well. So, and I think they're going to get Jackson too. So.
They're going for it, as they should.
Man.
You got 3 more years of cost control. Drink on Justin Herbert. This is the time.
Yep.
This is the time to remember because it will not last forever.
Yeah, it certainly won't, and they are going for... Wait, Mace, was that a song reference?
Billy Joel.
Oh, I saw the look you had on your face like Zach's not going to get this one. I'm sure Ben will, though.
Another pre-1990 reference there.
I will. Well, I'll be the piano man here. Do you have 17 W's back there for the schedule?
17-0, and then you get a bye week. So
Oh, yes. He does that in honor of Pat Bowlen. Pat used to think they'd win every game, too.
I'll tell you what, Steve was super excited about Russ the other day. I bumped into him the day that the announcement came out over there down there at Dove Valley. He's like, "We got a quarterback!" So
man,
he was super stoked about that.
He was ready.
Man, this town is going to be on fire. And we don't know this exact schedule yet. We'll know that in May. But we do know home and record opponents. We know who they're going to play. So we can go through this. And let's just start. I think Kale's got this kind of in alphabetical order. So we'll just go. Actually, no, not at all. But we'll just go with the list he has. The home games, let's start with those. Arizona Cardinals, and we're all going to come to a consensus. Since we have 3 people here, we're going to have a tiebreaker on the wins and the losses here. First one, Arizona Cardinals.
It depends on where in the season that is. If that's the first half of the
Great
season,
point.
it's an L. If it's the second half of the season, it's a W.
That's a great point.
I'm going to pretend like since it's the first game right there that it's going to be a first half of the season. I'm actually going to go ahead and change that. I know you put a W in there. I'm going to change that to an L for me.
Ooh, an L. Wait, Ben, you were saying 17-0.
I was the honorary Steve Atwater pick there. I'm going to be a little bit more Debbie Downer on this.
Mace, are you thinking loss as well?
I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to say maybe it's a spicy Thanksgiving night game, perhaps.
There you go. Okay.
Late enough in the season.
Just in time for the cliff collapse?
Yeah, exactly.
With a K?
Since time immemorial, every year he had late season collapses with Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech.
Wow.
I think it's more of a Kingsbury thing than a Kyler thing, and I think let's say the game's going to be late. I'm going to say dub for the Broncos at home.
And you know what? Maybe I'm just too hyped on this week. I'm going dub as well. Ben, we're going to trump you on this one, and we're going with a win here. The Houston Texans.
Oh, that's a
this
W.
is an easy one.
The Houston Texans suck
Mace,
out loud.
No disagreement.
You know what? I actually because I want to ease the Broncos into the season, new coach, get the chemistry right and all that. I would be perfectly fine if that's the opener.
Oh, it's just an easy win out of the way. Just like this past year. 3 easy wins, or 3 easy games to start the season.
I absolutely. I don't want the big splash week 1. I want the on-ramp to get up to speed.
Yep. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, and this will be a dub.
Yeah.
So, yep, we're going easy dub here. Indianapolis Colts, I mean, who knows what they're going to be? They have big question at quarterback. They have so much money to spend. But if you don't have the quarterback now, I personally have to go dub.
Yeah, I do too. You don't know who the quarterback is. They're out there looking at a couple of different options, including Marcus Mariota, Jordan Love. I know people have talked about Garoppolo. I don't think that's their primary target.
Okay.
The defense is going to be decent. I just don't know about that offense. Give me a W there for the Broncos.
Love it. Mace, you agree?
I'm going with a dub. It may drive Bronco fans crazy, but a guy like Bridgewater would make a lot of sense there.
Yeah, in Indianapolis certainly would.
Keep the car on the road, hand the ball to Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
But
Let the defense do its thing.
right.
Yep.
I think that no matter who they get, it's going to be addition by subtraction. I think they're going to find their way into the playoffs.
Are you concerned about a fall off from the defense with Eberflus leaving to Chicago?
Slightly. But I think that's compensated by getting Carson Wentz out of the building.
Fair enough.
Where do you think Teddy goes?
My gut said Seattle. We'll see.
That would be kind of hilarious.
Man, Teddy and
Drew battling out again. Let those beat writers handle that competition this year.
Yes, we all deserve no quarterback competition this year.
Be nice.
We certainly do. New York Jets, dub.
I think we all are
Dub.
probably picking a dub there.
Yeah.
Dubs all around. San Francisco 49ers. And I guess the big question for you, Ben, is how good is Trey Lance going to be?
I think he's going to be real good.
Yeah.
There's some trepidation right now, but I think he has potential to be very good. He may have some growing pains along the way, but the Niners have such a great defense, a great ground game, and I'm a little concerned right now that this defense is still a little susceptible to the ground game. Go back and look at the Philadelphia game. Mobile quarterback, limited passer, but they got a great ground game. Go ahead and give San Francisco the win there.
Mace, where are you going here?
I'm calling it as well. I'm calling the Broncos loss.
Well,
It's gonna mean a hell of a lot for Kyle Shanahan to walk into his hometown and steal a dub. I think
has he coached here yet?
not as a head coach.
Right. Wow, that'll be something
The
else.
game they played in 2018 was out in Santa Clara.
Yep.
Man, with his dad in the Ring of Fame up there, that'll be pretty darn cool. Well, it doesn't matter what I think. It's going to be a loss with you guys. So we're going L there. The Chiefs at home. And Ben, I guess my question to you is, regardless of when it is on the schedule, do the Broncos finally break the 13-game losing streak?
I think this will be the one that breaks the streak. I really do. I could tell you, well, you were up there in India. I talked to Nathaniel Hackett for a couple of minutes about this game, and man, I tell you, they've got that one circled.
Yeah.
They were close last year. I mean, Melvin with that late game fumble, they were close last year. Nobody took that game harder than Melvin Gordon did. He wanted it. I think they break the streak. I think that's the one. I don't think they win at Arrowhead, but I think they win the one here.
Man, I don't think Broncos would feel as good about a split against the Chiefs as they ever have if they get that this year.
It's just get the dub. Now,
Get the monkey off the back.
But this is the thing. This is why the order of the games is going to matter, because the game before, the game after, I think you're going to have a potentially susceptible Bronco team. Like if let's say the game before that is a trip to Jacksonville, that's an upset loss.
Could be a trap game.
Yep.
Looking ahead.
Yeah.
And now the other two division games, at home against the Chargers and at home against the Raiders. Mace, what are we thinking?
I'm calling dubs on both.
Dubs on both. I love it. And Ben, do you agree? Chargers at home and Raiders at home?
Yeah, the Raiders, yes. The Chargers, that's going to be a well-fought game. I think they win it here at Denver. That's probably another split.
Yep, and I agree with that. So we'll give the Broncos the split, the home win there. Guys, we got them 7-1 at home. And you know what? Great teams, that shouldn't sound crazy, because great teams dominate at home and great quarterbacks dominate at home. And the only loss coming to the 49ers. Let's look at these away opponents. You got the Carolina Panthers with, again, who knows who at quarterback.
Well, yeah, East Coast game, that's always going to be a bit of a bother. If the Panthers do wind up with Deshaun Watson, that could probably change things. I'm going to say a W for the Broncos here, but if they wind up with Watson on the East Coast, I would change that vote.
Some of the terms of a Watson trade that are floating out there are going to take a hacksaw to key parts of the roster. I mean, imagine a Carolina Panthers team that loses Hassan Reddick in free agency and then loses Brian Burns in a trade. That defense, if they get Deshaun Watson, they're going to be exciting, and it might be enough to win a a very weak NFC South on paper, but they're not going to be able to stop anybody, I think, this coming year.
Which is funny because last year their defense was actually pretty good.
Right.
What are you hearing about Christian McCaffrey? I saw something.
The cap hits
this
too
week.
much. Yeah, I've seen that stuff. The cap hits too much. Unless you do a post-June 1 designation, the cap hit is just unbearable. I know there was some rumor about Kansas City. I was told that was false, but
thank you.
But in terms of moving him at all, it would have to be post-June 1, and I don't think they want to do that. I think they're just saying, hey, our roster is open. We want Watson. What do you want?
Right. Man, him and Watson together, both healthy. That would be something else.
I still say they've got to think long and hard about moving McCaffrey full-time to wide receiver.
Yeah, slot.
Yeah.
When he was coming out of the
He's got-
draft, that was the thing. Like he was going to move to slot receiver, and then all of a sudden it wasn't.
He needs to take fewer hits, but be out there on the field.
More like Cordarrelle Patterson,
Yeah.
running back and receiver.
Yep.
Use both. So
Yep, man, that's dangerous. Jacksonville Jaguars. Who are the Jaguars going to be this year?
there's no Urban Meyer, which saddens me because I don't get to play Genuine's pony before the game. I think we all think this is a Broncos dub.
Yep. You
And
think Trevor
afterwards,
Lawrence?
Doug Peterson can take them out for an ice cream to drown their sorrows. In.
It's a dub, but like I said, if this is in the wrong place on the schedule,
Trap game.
this is a trap game that could easily go the other way. They're going to be, if not the most improved team in the league, right there in the top 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I don't think it's enough for them to be a playoff team, but it's enough for where there's going to be a hell of a lot of hope in Jacksonville going to 2023. Their dog days are just about over, I think.
I totally agree, but the Broncos get the dub. The LA Rams on the road. Ben, do you think this could be the opening night game for the entire NFL?
Could be. I think that's one of the ones that it definitely could be, although I think the next game is probably the one you're eyeballing. I think this is a loss for the Broncos, even with the Rams having to cough up a few players on defense and perhaps on offense as well. I still think that's a loss for the Broncos as Sean McVay in his house is a tough beat.
Do you think that's ultimately where Von plays?
Right now, yeah. The Chargers were his major chip. If he wants the money, I mean, the Texans will offer, but I don't know if he wants to play with his hand in the dirt.
Yeah. And he doesn't want to play for a team that's rebuilding at this point
Right.
either. So I think LA is where he ends up. One thing about the Thursday night opener, as tempting as that is, I think from a national perspective, the possibility of Josh Allen and Buffalo against the Rams on Thursday Night Football to open the season might be a little more tempting for NBC and the NFL. I'd bet on that game being a Thursday night opener, but no matter when the game comes, I think the Broncos take a very tough L.
Yep.
At SoFi.
I agree. Now, the Seattle Seahawks, this is a Broncos win. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a lot of emotion to it, but I still think Russ gets it done.
And I'll give you a prediction. I think I gave it to you, Zach, but I'll tell you, Ben, this is my thought. First Amazon Prime game is going to be Week 2, Thursday night. Amazon, Seattle,
Possible,
Russell
yeah.
Wilson coming back. I'm going to go out and say I think that's going to be the Week 2 game for the Broncos.
If it's not Week 1, I think you're right. I think it is. It's a Week 1 or Week 2 game. I think Pete Carroll's going to get up for this game.
I think so, too.
I think Pete Carroll's. I think this game will be a lot closer than people think, even though the Broncos will have the on-paper advantage. I think Pete Carroll gets up for that game. I'm still going to give the Broncos a W, but watch out for that game. Pete Carroll will get up for that just because coaches with an ego want to prove to quarterbacks with an ego that they got it.
And if Drew Lock is starting that game, you know he's going to be up
Absolutely.
for that game.
Revenge game.
And also, the 12th man there is going to be up for it because if they are as bad as we think they're going to be, it's going to be tough for Seattle Seahawks fans to get up for games except for this one.
But Russ will be up too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
it did. Like I think back to Broncos who went back to places where they established their name. Peyton lost going back to Indianapolis, emotional night.
Yeah.
John Lynch and the Broncos won. So
Yeah, I like that. And next one is the Tennessee Titans. Are the Titans for real for another year?
I think so. Part of the reason that we have a recency bias with them and not thinking they were as good as they were with their seed, but that's because Derrick Henry just was not the same when he came back for the playoffs, and they had no threat of him really. And then Tannehill in that game just did not look very good. Tannehill's better than he looked in that game, so I'm gonna put an L down here. I think the Titans defense is good. I think Tannehill's better than he played in that game. Tannehill historically has played pretty well against the Denver Broncos. So
I'm not sure there was a unit more improved last year from Week 1 to Week 18 than the Titans defense. And we saw in the playoff, the loss to Cincinnati, just how special that defensive line has become. I mean, they're obviously they moved on from Saffold this week, so they're kind of having to make some moves. But I think their window has at least one more year here. I think Titans win that game.
Yep, I'm going Titans win as well. And the Chiefs, we said they're going to split, and Arrowhead is where they lose. But still, when you look at 1-1, you're pretty darn happy with the Broncos finally getting a win.
Well, yeah, it'd be nice to get the first Broncos W against Andy Reid since we were all in diapers. So.
Pretty much, yes, exactly.
Feels like that.
And did we all say the Chargers, it was going to be a split as well?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Okay,
I think
so
so.
another road loss. Man, that's 2 losses in SoFi this year. That's tough, but makes sense against 2 really good teams. Now the Raiders, do the Broncos split and go 3-3 in the division, or do the Broncos sweep the Raiders and go 4-2?
I think the Broncos sweep the Raiders. There's the added McDaniels factor, and
Yeah.
then the fact that it should be the Las Vegas Raiders because there's no D happening. So, yeah, give me a W on that one.
Yeah.
Yep, give me a dub as well on that one. Tom McMahon, Josh McDaniels. That's going to be fun for a long time. In the final game, Baltimore Ravens on the road.
There's a lot going on here. Ben pointed out the East Coast with Carolina earlier. This has always been a very tough place for the Broncos to play. The bad luck of last place is in the schedule is that you drew the Ravens, who finished in last place because Lamar Jackson was injured. He's healthy. I think they're back. I think the Ravens win this game.
I'm with you 100%. The Broncos has shown a propensity to struggle against mobile quarterbacks with a strong run game. That's what this game is. I think that's another loss for the Broncos there.
Man, this is crazy how this played out, and I think this is exactly what could happen, where the Broncos dominate at home, and then especially with a new quarterback, a lot of new pieces, new head coach, they struggle on the road a bit, go 4-5 on the road, of course, 1 extra road game this year, and we got the Broncos at 11-6.
I think 10-7, 11-6 is a realistic record for this football team. I mean, you ball bounces the right way, you could get 12. Ball bounces poorly, you could get 10. I think it's a good number.
That's why I keep saying if this team makes the playoffs, likely a wild card, I'm happy with it. You hope maybe that they're surging at the end and can steal a win in the wild card round, depending on the matchup and how things work out. But I think that's a very realistic expectation. That they can be very good this year. I think the Super Bowl window really opens next year.
Are we doing a Mexico City game this year? And does that a home or an away game?
That's a good. Well, the hosts internationally all are NFC teams.
Okay. So we would be the away team.
Yeah, and
So an Arizona game potentially could be down there.
Yep.
no, because the hosts are the NFC.
Oh, that's right. It's away.
Yeah, so
Oh,
the
right.
Broncos aren't playing an international game this year.
So wouldn't it be Jacksonville if it was? Because Jacksonville is hosting a game, I think. I think they're the one AFC team. They're hosting in
I have to go
London.
back and look. Tampa's got the Munich game. I know that.
Right, because Jacksonville's contractually obligated per the deal they made many years
derail.
ago to go over there. Everything else is determined by the schedule rotation. So so this year it's NEC, all the NFC teams that are the home teams, and the AFC teams are the home teams next year for
Right.
the international games. So the Broncos could lose a home game in 2023. But not 2022.
Gotcha.
Interesting, and I love it. 11-6.
Yeah.
Would that meet your expectations? Would this be a successful season? Because
I
they're
think-
making the playoffs.
I think 10-7, 11-6 are meet expectations. Anything below that would be a disappointment and or injury marred season.
Right.
Anything above that would be gravy.
Yep, I agree there. And man, it's so fun to be talking about how the Broncos should have double-digit wins. It's also so fun to turn $5 into $200 in free bets over at DraftKings Sportsbook by using the code DNVR over at DraftKings Sportsbook. If you bet $5 on any conference game this week and you win, you get $200 in free bets, and no better way to roll into March Madness next week than $200 in free bets. So get in on the games tonight and tomorrow to get $200 in free bets for what a wild week it's going to be in college ball next week. And of course, that's using code DNVR over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Make sure to download that app as well. Of course, you must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Also, tell you about Green Mountain Dental. We've had what?
I was going to tell you should do the old Micro Machine commercials. Remember
Oh,
the
yeah,
Micro Machine
oh,
guy?
yes.
That's just before your time.
Yeah, don't know what you're talking about.
Yet another 1980s reference.
Machine. I can't. Is that a computer?
No.
It was a toy.
Just tiny cars. Tiny car. Micro Machine. Remember Micro Machine? There's another thing. Guy was like super fast talking.
Yeah, they had this one. There was this one guy who could talk really fast, and he did all these commercials back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were simpler people then.
It was a simpler time.
It sounds fun.
We lived in a different world.
We do. We live in a different world now than we did then. We live in a different world now than we did 24 hours ago. Or a few minutes
Definitely
ago.
like 72 hours ago.
To quote draft day.
We live in a Russell Wilson world now.
We
Yeah, I
do,
know.
and it's
Yeah.
glorious, isn't it?
But whether you're in a Russell Wilson world or a Drew Lock world or whatever world, you got to take care of your teeth. And that's where our friends over at Green Mountain Dental come in. Of course, Green Mountain Dental Group, they're based over in Lakewood, the best damn family-owned dentist in the metro area. The big-time Colorado sports fans, just like everyone over at DNVR, and they want to have you become part of their family. And as part of that, they want to help you take good care of your teeth, not just when you're in the dentist chair, but when you go home. So if you sign up and get a schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam, you'll get a free Sonicare toothbrush to use for those 6 months a year when you're not in the dentist chair. And it's a great toothbrush. I use it. It'll beep every 30 seconds. So you go 30 seconds one part of your mouth, 30 seconds next, and so on and so forth. So you get every part of your mouth brushed, every tooth cleaned and good to go. So check that out at Green Mountain Dental. You become a patient there, you're going to get that Sonicare toothbrush. They will treat you like family. They'll send you birthday cards. They'll let you know that they care about you even when you're not there in the dentist chair. They'll even send a personal card to your home after you become a new patient. So check that out. They're 15 minutes from downtown Denver and Lakewood. That's Green Mountain Dental Group.
I want a birthday card. Just saying.
Yeah.
For your
Everyone loves birthday
30th birthday?
Yeah, my 30th birthday.
We're all celebrating 30th birthdays here. And
For the 11th or 12th time.
Yeah.
Ben, I think some people want to give you a birthday card who are tuning in right now. We really appreciate everyone that's tuning in right now. Please hit us with a thumbs up, subscribe, turn on alerts so you don't miss any time we're going live. And the thumbs up really helps us as well. But we have some super chats wanting to talk to Ben. First one coming in from Jelly says, best option at number 64. Who's y'all's most educated guess?
Either the best right tackle or the best edge rusher on the board. Those are the priorities. And even if they address some of that in free agency, which they will, like I said, Chandler Jones option one. They're going to look at some right tackles in free agency. I believe it's going to be one of those two. As far as the name goes, man, it's tough. It's tough to project who's going to be there at 64 at this point. But I think those two are the main things to look at there.
You're just reacting to the board. I know a lot of Bronco fans want them to consider Trey McBride. I'm not sure McBride's going to be there at 64 at tight end, even though I think they will look to a tight end in deep class, but I think that's something maybe you see toward the end of round 3.
Totally agree.
Man, Trey McBride would be so cool. But you're right. It's clear the two needs are edge and right tackle.
Yeah, and that's the priority. And then corner depth. I mean, those are the priorities.
Yep.
People keep talking about inside linebacker, but like I said, they're going to play a lot of dime this year. You've still got Jonas Griffith. You've still got Baron Browning.
Right.
You still got those guys. They may bring Josie back, but beyond that, I don't think they're going to bring a lot of these inside backers or be in that. And the Bobby Wagner conversation, I'll just tell you, that is not happening. So please stop asking me on Twitter.
So, Ben, I got to ask, Bobby Wagner?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Confirmed.
No, Bobby Wagner is not coming to Denver.
Next one coming in from Steven says, I hate this whole Peyton sold the farm take. Denver has 3 picks in the top 100 this year. As always, love y'all. True Champ Fan 24.
Who has that take? Who said Peyton sold the farm? They have 5 picks in the top 115.
It's they gave up so little compared to what I would have given
Ask the
up.
Rams how they feel about giving all that up for Matt Stafford. Like there's no amount that's too much to give up for a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. Sorry.
I mean, really, like the only year as of right now they're caught short is next year when they don't have a 1, they only have a 2.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When Russell Wilson, probably the big numbers start kicking in 2024 on his contract. And when that happens, that's when you get full complement of picks back. And that's how you make up for the quarterback having $40, $50 million up to 55, like you said. You start going back into the draft.
Plus, some
it's
of these
good
guys,
planning.
Plus, some of these guys that are leaving, the Broncos actually want to sign elsewhere. Like we talk about wanting to keep our guys, but the compensatory formula is going to come up big next year when you're shorthanded on picks, and these guys sign elsewhere. So,
And we also know that George Payton isn't a guy that has to have first and second round picks in order to have a good draft.
yeah, it's interesting because he's always kind of employed a barbell approach where it's stacked on the front and stacked in the back, and now he's kind of stacked in the middle. So it's going to be interesting to see how he moves around in this draft.
Yeah.
With that.
I would actually guess that he does not retain both third-round picks. I would guess that one of them goes toward adding picks on day 3 to end, so he gets his magic number of 10.
10, right? Yep.
Yep, he's close.
The Peyton dozen.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's hop into our final segment here, and let's do the great free agent draft. So we talked about free agents relating to the Broncos.
By the way,
start the show.
Before I jump in, that is a much better photo than the one that was on your credential.
Man, I will never let Ryan do the credential stuff for us again. Ryan is the brains of our show. He handles all that stuff. He handles the logistics, everything, all that kind of stuff. I just show up like an idiot and talking to a microphone. But so he thought he'd be sneaky funny on this one. He got me good. All the pranking I do on Ryan, he got me good on that one. This is ridiculous, like surprised face serial killer surprised face credential thing that I had to wear around Indy all week, and everyone was commenting on. So
do you have a picture of him that you're going to use for next year's combine?
I do have one. It's a candid photo I got of him during the show where he's like doing like that. So we're gonna use that on the next one.
Perfect. I love it. So with this draft, we're going to do a draft like we typically do every Friday. But this one is just drafting the best free agents out there. And it doesn't matter for the Broncos' perspective, just the best free agents you think are out there.
Okay.
You want to go first?
Do we have the board, or do I just go from memory?
It's anyone. It's anyone you need.
Oh,
Anyone
okay.
you
Well,
can
right
think
off the
of.
bat, I mean, look, the Broncos' pick priority is going to be Chandler Jones, and I think he's one of the best out there. So I'm going to take Chandler Jones like right there off the top. Give me the
Yeah.
edge rush. If you can't get after a quarterback these days, what are you even doing?
Yep. It's a great pick right there to lead it off.
Gonna go J.C. Jackson.
That would have been my
Yeah.
name too. Yeah.
If you had gone Jackson, I would have gone Jones. Yeah, there you go.
Great mind. Well, mediocre mind.
Yeah.
Great mind over here.
Great minds and fools. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna go because we're gonna have the fans voting on this to see who wins
Okay.
after this
All
show. And
right.
actually, I want fans jumping in on the YouTube to let us know who they would pick here. And I'm going for the fans' heart with this pick. I'm going Von Miller.
Oh,
Give
you're
me Von
pandering.
Miller.
You're
I
pandering.
Am. I absolutely
Zac
am.
Stevens is a
And,
panderer.
Clarify, Zach's undefeated this year.
Yes, 3-0.
Because he
in
knows
these
how to play.
drafts.
He knows how to play the people.
You know, and behind the scenes, behind the scenes, you think that Zach is like this sweet guy. He's like this ruthless competitor. He yelled at me and threw an ashtray at me because I looked at him in the eyes before the show. So don't vote for Zach. I'm just letting you in behind this. No, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm kidding.
Yes, and wow, I get to go again because it's
Yeah.
a nice
Snake
little
draft.
snake draft. Man, you got Chandler Jones. I'm gonna give the people what they want again because Broncos, especially after yesterday's trade for Khalil Mack in the division, Broncos fans are desperate for tackle help, and I'm gonna go with the best tackle on there. I'm gonna go Armstead. Give me the edge rusher and the offensive tackle here. And again, this isn't for Broncos needs, but I just know what Broncos fans are thinking right now.
Although you've said you would convert Garrett Bowles to right tackle.
If you could get
If you could get
Armstead,
Armstead.
absolutely. Yep.
Dream world. I'm going edge rusher here. I'm going with Hassan Reddick from Carolina.
You've talked about him twice today, Mace. He's your guy.
He's rising. Like betting on him. Couple of double-digit sack seasons when after Arizona finally realized he's an edge, not an inside linebacker, and I think you're betting on the come a little bit with Hassan Reddick.
Yep. I like, and that's what you have to do in free agency if you really want to hit. You
Yep.
don't just give huge money to the top names out there. You have to go and find the guys that are on the come up, like the Emmanuel Sanders of the world.
Yep.
You get
It was-
back-to-back picks here, Ben.
Yeah, it was tough because I was looking at corner and I thought about like either Carlton Davis or Stephon Gilmore, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to go get myself the vertical threat I need in Odell Beckham Jr.
Ooh, spicy.
That is good. That is good. What do you think his market's like this
It's
year?
going to be interesting because of the injury.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to take the flyer after watching what he was able to do healthy and
Yep.
and get into a place he wants. So we're going to go OBJ there, and then we're going to come back and get the corner here. I'm just not sure. I'm struggling with Carlton Davis. I think Carlton Davis is better than Stephon Gilmore. But Gilmore's probably the bigger name and going to get me more votes. So I'm actually going to go with Stephon Gilmore
That's
here.
smart.
I'm going to pander as
That
well,
is
Zach.
smart.
Take a page out of the Zac Stevens
Oh,
book.
You
my
know how to play the
gosh.
game, and I do think you're right about him being the bigger name.
I think Carlton Davis is a better corner, but
Yep, I would agree with you on that, and
All
I
right.
think Mace would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So are you going Carlton Davis? You getting your guy here, Mace?
I'm going Honey Badger. I'm going Tyrann Mathieu.
Mace, that was my pick.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's a really good. Is there any chance he goes back to the Chiefs? You guys think?
No, I don't
Chiefs
believe
just
he's going back there.
They just don't have the cash for him.
I think he's done there.
Interesting. Well, that's good news for the Broncos. And again, I'm totally pandering to the people with this pick, but give me Bobby Wagner because it's all about the names when we're talking about this. And Bobby Wagner has the second most Pro Bowls in Seattle Seahawks franchise history. You know who has more than him? Russell Wilson, yep. Man, I just can't believe what Seattle's doing. They are going full rebuild. And got to give them credit because I was saying for the Broncos, you got to go full rebuild. If you're just going to be this middling team, go full rebuild. It seems like Seattle's going right into that.
Sources are telling me you're looking at Teddy Bridgewater for pick 4 here.
Oh, man. So Teddy was just a little too expensive for me, so I'm just losing him here. Where do I go? Do I take Mace's guy right here? I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to go give me Brandon Scherf here.
You got my guy.
Maybe the best offensive lineman outside of Armstead here.
All right. I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to double up corner. I'm going to call it Carlton Davis.
Yep. See, I thought you were going to go him eventually.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Ben, how you ending us off?
Well, since Carlton Davis is gone, I'm going to make my corners better by addressing the front seven. We're going to get Jadeveon Clowney in here, pair him up with Chandler Jones.
Yep, that is pretty darn good. So Ben's got pretty strong board. You've got OBJ, Stephon Gilmore, Chandler Jones, and Jadeveon Clowney. Is Jadeveon playing outside? Or is
he'll mix it up. He'll play a little end, he'll play a little edge. We'll mix it up a little. We'll move him around like a chess piece. So
I think I got the Bengals free agent class of last year. May not be the sexiest at the time, but it's going to be the most effective.
Okay.
I like that. J.C. Jackson, Hassan Reddick, Tyrann Mathieu, and Carlton Davis. That is pretty darn good as well, Mace.
Yeah. I like my secondary.
And if you guys vote for me, I'll consider giving you a Bitcoin.
Whoa, that is pandering too far.
I am not above
there.
That's not
bribery.
pandering, that's bribery.
to
That's
win.
bribery. That's another level entirely.
Consider getting a Bitcoin, by the way.
And we actually have a few more super chats rolling in. People want to hear from Ben again. Next one coming in from Owen. He says, did Jonathan Cooper not show enough? He did fairly well for us. Don't we need a significant amount of secondary help with pending free agents?
They do need some depth in the secondary. I thought Coop looked pretty good as a situational pass rusher. He struggled setting the edge in the run game at times, and that's a common phenomenon with edge guys that are rookies. I think I think they'd like to use Coop in a rotation. I think he and Malik Reed is the backup guys for guys like Bradley Chubb and perhaps Chandler Jones, which again I think is the direction they're headed. I think that's the best fit for those guys, and they'll let them grow into that role. And by the time that guys like Bradley Chubb, well, it'll be next year, but by the time like Chandler Jones is up for a new deal, then you're hoping that Coop takes over at that point, and you get a couple of cost-controlled years, that kind of thing, and maybe the overall longer contract's a little cheaper because he hadn't been doing it for 4 years.
And when you look at the number of games that Bradley Chubb has missed in recent years, and even Chandler Jones missed 11 games back in 2020, the odds are pretty high that you're going to see Cooper and or Reed get extensive work over the course of the season at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And with Chandler Jones, we're talking about a guy that's 1 year younger than Von Miller. He's 32 right now. What type of contract are we talking? Are we talking 2 or 3 years, or are we talking 4 or 5?
Well, every contract in the NFL is a 2-year deal with team options after that. I think you're looking at, it'll say 3 to 4 or whatever, but it'll really be a 2-year deal, and you're probably looking at 15 to 18 million per.
Okay. Yep. And do you think Von's going to come in right around that too, wherever he goes?
I think he's going to be a little higher than that.
I think so too. I think he's more of like the 16 to 20 range. Man, if you get Chandler for even cheaper and you're only guaranteeing 2, that's pretty darn good deal.
Yep.
I like that. Next one coming in from Dakota says, thanks to DNVR crew and Ben for all you guys do covering the beloved Broncos. Huge fan of all of you. Keep being great. Shout out to Mace, Ben, and Zach. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And what's really cool is we hop on your show every Wednesday, just the rotation of us, and I feel like we have a very similar community.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've always striven to, Ryan and I, we put the show together. We always strive to be more the information show rather than just outright kind of entertainment. And you guys do a perfect blend of both. And I think I do. I think we have the Venn diagram of our audiences may not be a perfect circle, but there's definitely some overlap.
And I was thinking this morning that your motto for the show is "Hear tomorrow's news tonight," and when it came to Russell Wilson, it was "Hear today's news last October," pretty much.
Well, yeah, I'll never forget, being up in the press box and just telling our competition kind of how it was going to go down. Just that was a highlight of this past season for me in a season full of lowlights.
Well, and then of course 2 years ago you had the Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill in the press box.
That led to some fireworks.
Titans.
Yeah, that led to a little problem in the press box. That was a good time. Somebody made a fake video saying that we'd actually fought in the press box.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, I had to go. Yeah, because there was. Yeah.
Did you get a stunt?
Like a deep fake thing? Or?
No, his guy. He works for ESPN in Nashville. His name's Buck Riesling or something like that. He cut this video.
That's a very Nashville name, by the way. Buck.
Yeah. Anyway, he cut this video saying that Paul Kaharski and I had actually come to blows or whatever in the press box.
Wow.
And so I had to there were so many people that saw it that were all that's not what happened at all. So there was 20 people that had to sign a letter including John Robinson, by the way, who was sitting right there.
Wow.
It was that didn't happen. So.
Wow. Yeah, Ben, I never want to see you get in a fight, but I'd be okay with some drama in the press box like that.
I mean, I just, that guy's 25 years older than me. I'm not trying to hit a senior citizen.
So what you're saying is he's 55.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
45.
Exactly. Man, the super chats just keep coming in. Says, if Chubb was to be traded, what does his value look like?
I don't think he has much value because you're looking at a season where he was very down, and you're looking at a contract that isn't tradable long term. So,
right.
As much as we love Bradley Chubb, it's more valuable to keep him at this point than it is to try to trade him. So, I'll put it you this way: when Seattle was in negotiations to make this thing happen, it was suggested that Bradley Chubb could be moved, and that was replaced by Shelby. So take that for how you will.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Bradley Chubb was going to be traded, it would have been in this trade.
I was shocked that they were able, don't get me wrong, I love Shelby Harris.
Yeah.
Love Shelby Harris. Great human being. Still have the turkey gag in the locker room. But I was surprised that they got Shelby and not Draymond.
Right. Me too, because it definitely seems like Draymond would have been the guy who they would prefer more.
Right.
And that's one that the Broncos didn't want to give up. And last one coming in from Bradley Howard says, if Melvin wants to be back, is there any chance we can manipulate the signing bonus to give him what he's worth without a large cap hit?
Well, no, you got to pay the piper somewhere on that. I mean, you can. There are ways to manipulate the cap with cash, but I'm not sure that you can match what it is that he would get somewhere else. So you can. I mean, you can jack up the bonus, but you're still ended up having to work it out because you're going to want more than 1 year deal if you're Melvin Gordon. You're not taking a 1 year deal.
And they could put incentives in there, but
Right.
why would you take the incentives if
Someone
Team
else
X
will just give it
is
to you.
giving you the money right now?
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I want Melvin's my neighbor. I want Melvin Gordon back, but I just at this point it doesn't look likely.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Ben. In 1 week from now, when the first wave and two of free agency are over, are we looking at a big free agent class for the Broncos?
I don't think so. I really don't. I mean, Russ is the big buy here.
Yeah.
I think you're probably looking at Chandler Jones. You're probably looking at Dennis Kelly. They're going to look into that anyway. You're probably looking at Sebastian Joseph Day. I think that's a mortal lock at this point. And you're probably looking at a corner, a body at corner.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're looking at a huge free agent class. You'll find some sprinkling of depth, a couple other guys, but I really don't think so. You still need $5 or $6 million for your rookie class. You're going to need $5 or $6 million for a buffer just in case people get hurt over the course of the season. So you don't want to eat up all that cap going into it. So no, I don't see a huge free agent class. Something similar to last year. We had a couple of guys last year, something similar to last year.
And remember, you re-signed Tim Patrick, you re-signed Cortland Sutton.
That's your free agent.
That was a free agent class right there.
Right. That's a really good point. And now, boy, do those two signings look brilliant. Not just because you have Russ now, but you see what some of the other wide receiver contracts that are out there.
Well, by the time Devontae Adams is done, I think you're getting Cortland and Tim for the cost that it would have gotten you for Devontae Adams.
Yep, which is nuts. Anything going on? Why doesn't Aaron Rodgers have a contract yet? Is that anything we should read into?
No, they're still working out. I've seen the contract. It's $50 million plus, and Rapp's numbers are very close, despite Rodgers denying that.
Right.
They're waiting to get the Devontae stuff done so that they can reconfigure some of the numbers on the Rodgers deal to make both work.
Right. So is Devontae getting a long-term deal?
Yeah, that's the tag was a negotiating mechanism. They're going to get him a long-term deal.
Okay, man, the way things have changed in Broncos country the last week. We were talking Aaron Rodgers, then Russell Wilson. Now I've totally checked out on Aaron Rodgers and everything going on there. Ben, this has been awesome.
So much for it being the last dance, by the way.
Yeah,
With that
seriously.
post last summer, right?
Yeah.
Drama king Aaron Rodgers.
We knew Rodgers was going back to Green Bay the Sunday before the combine. We knew that for a fact at that point, but I did not expect this Russ stuff to come together this quick. So I'm stoked.
Yeah, me too. I mean, what a Tuesday morning that was. 10:30. We get the news that Rodgers is officially going back. I text you at 11:31, seeing if you can come on today's show. 10 minutes later, the news officially breaks about Russ.
And the problem was I knew. I'd known for about 40 minutes, and I couldn't say anything because they hadn't talked to Noah, Shelby, and Drew yet.
Right.
So I had to, that's the one thing people talk about, state sponsor, but being on that side of the house, I have other requirements. Like I got to sit on stuff versus, Schefter and them. So, yeah, I wanted to send something back, but I was like, I texted right back, I will absolutely be there because I knew at that point that this was going down, so I wanted to be here for this. So.
And what a perfect show this was. Ben, thank you so much for being on with us. Like I said, this was a perfect time to have you on right after the trade, right before free agency. I'm feeling great about the Broncos' plans. Feel like I know a lot going into free agency. And thank you all so much for tuning in to Three Ring Circus, for tuning in this entire week. Hit us with a thumbs up on your way out. And Ben, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone have a fantastic weekend.